Overthinking.
Futurama.
This episode's title comes from the Shakespeare comedy Love's Labour's Lost, mashed together with the 1960s sci-fi TV series Lost in Space.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
I've not seen either one. I'm more a fan of Close Encounters of the Richard III kind myself, but I'm sure watching this will give me a good synopsis of both, right? I love subtle animation details like Leela's date taking a sip from his glass and Leela slightly moving hers. Of course, it also forces me to notice how the glasses teleport halfway across the table to be side by side in the next shot, and also there are no plates in the wide shot. Also, it's a nice touch that they made the glasses translucent in these two shots so you can see the stars through them, but I can't say nobody would have noticed if they hadn't done it, because I did notice that they didn't do it in these shots where we should be seeing the buildings through the glasses but aren't.
This place was a great choice.
If you like the meal, just wait till you try these after dinner mints.
This is such a weird thing to say that my brain got stuck for an embarrassing number of hours trying to come up with a response to it, and none of my ideas were funny enough to be worth the time I spent on them. I had a whole animated chart at one point. Anyway, suffice it to say that unless these are Helmut Spargel brand mints cooked with plenty of confidence, there's no way that this mint is better than the meal they just ate, right? I mean, look at this place. It's upscale. The robot playing the piano has 4 arms. In reality, I'm pretty sure that this line only exists to service the lizard tongue gag by clarifying that this blue denture tablet is in fact a mint. Mr. Lizard Tongue appears to have a pretty normal tongue in this shot, leading me to wonder if the snake-like tongue is a separate appendage that retracts in behind his brain or something. And how did Leela not notice it before now? Did he not use it during the entire meal?
Ew.
Finally, ladies, I'm throwing this one out to you. Comment below how you're gonna react if you find yourself in Leela's situation, because frankly, if I'm on a date with a beautiful woman who seductively snakes up her mint at the end of the meal, I feel like I'm gonna be into that, you know? I shouldn't have said this on the internet.
What was wrong with your date last night?
I like to think that there was no lead up to this and that Fry just opened with that question because this is a conversation they have 4 out of 5 mornings.
Something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Possibly his vile lizard tongue.
Have you seen the size of that thing? You could have gotten multiple fingers all up in that... What's that say? Oh, figuratively. Never mind.
Now can we please
The
stop?
female LEELA's problem is purely medical. Soon she will drop her eggs.
Word of advice, men. Never, ever say something like this unless you want to get your stupid crab face punched onto next week's dinner menu.
Soon she will drop her eggs and they will hatch and all will be well.
Wait, so Zoidberg thinks that Leela's ready to lay a clutch of eggs and that this is somehow the reason that she's having bad dates, and also he thinks that these eggs have already been fertilized? Did he just call Leela a lot? Because I feel like this is some weird invertebrate way of calling Leela a lot.
You're from the 20th century? I'm from the 21st century.
No way. We've got so much in common.
To be fair, if she's from the early part of the 21st century, their points of origin could be just a few years apart.
Remember when those cyborgs enslaved humanity?
Oh, she's from the 2020s. How does this stay on? Is it adhesive, or magnets, or just fabric tension? Ow. Even if this club serves mostly human clientele, which they certainly appear to, you'd think they'd have some glasses on hand that would be able to accommodate alien hands, don't you think? Any variety of long-stemmed glass should sit in Zoidberg's claw without breaking, as long as he doesn't grip it too hard. But now that I think about it, I don't know why he's going through this whole song and dance anyway. Zoidberg would feel no shame in sucking that drink right out of the glass or even right off the counter after he spilled it. And then he'd probably eat the glass. Does he want to date that thing or eat it?
This is M5438, an entity of pure energy.
He's just not what I'm looking for.
I understand.
Ladies and gentlemen, Billy West, who legit produced this voice with no digital effects or post-processing.
One day you will evolve beyond your physical body, and on that day, I hope you will pick up the phone.
Using what? Everyone looks way too sober, leaving an establishment with a 10-drink minimum. They're just letting Zoidberg take the lobster? This is animal cruelty, right? I mean, I don't care what Zoidberg's plans are. That thing is in for a terrible night. I'm not sure if we're supposed to believe that Zoidberg and Amy got into this taxi. The way it's cut together certainly suggests that, but this is clearly not one of them.
Vergon 6 was once filled with the super dense substance known as dark matter, each pound of which weighs over 10,000 pounds.
Must make sense. Oh, I've got it. He's saying that for 1 British pound, you can buy 10,000 pounds of dark matter. Oh, that was dumb. Why didn't I just say, I see what you did there? How am I going to rescue this now? Oh, I've got it.
Each pound of which weighs over 10,000 pounds.
Oh, you mean just like...
Your mother.
I bet you Leela's holding out for a nice guy with one eye.
What she ought to do is find a nice guy with 2 eyes and poke one out.
Do you mind?
Here you go. You can use this as an eye poker.
Why is there a fork just sitting on the console? The funny thing is, if he had just pulled it out of his compartment, I might have still asked, why does Bender have a fork? But because they made it less complicated, it actually counts as a double overthink.
All I'm looking for is a guy who's adventurous, self-confident, maybe a snappy dresser.
You are not. Fry is all of those things, including the snappy dresser part. His outfit is modeled after James Dean from Rebel Without a Cause. Doug, do I really need to say that just to prove that I do read the comments? Fry always wears the same thing. There's nothing about his outfit that's specific to this episode. No, mentioning it in every video is not the solution here.
These new uniforms are pretty snappy, eh, First Officer?
Here we see a man, nay, a hero who should inspire all men in the ways of manliness and women. Stop, what are you doing? No, Doug, you dumb Canuck. I'm talking about Kif. Jeez, man, do you know how easy it is to get canceled these days? Okay, where was I? Right. What can I say about Lieutenant Kif Croker? Voiced by the brilliant Maurice LaMarche, he is undoubtedly the manliest of all male characters ever to grace the screen. A soldier, a patriot, a devoted fanfaronroo and father who endures hardship and ridicule, lacking recognition for any of his contributions, yet he suffers onward with only his own exasperated sigh to comfort him. Is it any wonder that Amazonians throw themselves at this squishy green bad boy? And yet, through thick and thin, he remains faithful to his one and only.
A long-distance dedication from a squishy green bad boy to his pink pork dumpling. At number 12, it's Shut Up and Love Me.
Truly personifying that old adage, when the going gets tough, the tough gets squishy. Now, Zapp Brannigan takes inspiration from many larger-than-life space captains from science fiction, especially Captain Kirk from Star Trek. According to supervising director Rich Moore, an early description of Zapp was to imagine that William Shatner, the actor, was the captain of the Enterprise, instead of his character, James T. Kirk.
The touchdown brings me back again to find I'm not the man they think I am. I'm a rocket man. Rocket Man.
The dynamic between Zapp and Kif came from Matt Groening imagining Spock constantly groaning in exasperation at Kirk's antics. These two are a truly rich and hilarious addition to the show. Unfortunately, this is where we have to turn to a sad note. I've mentioned previously, but it's worth repeating, that the role of Zapp Brannigan was originally intended for actor and comedian Phil Hartman, well known for his work on Saturday Night Live, News Radio, and of course, The Simpsons.
Oh, hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from such self-help videos as Smoke Yourself Thin and Get Confident, Stupid.
The producers told Hartman he didn't even have to audition for the role, but he wanted to anyway, and in Matt Groening's words, of course, he nailed the part. It was only a couple of weeks after that audition, in the early morning hours of May 28th, 1998, that Phil Hartman was murdered, shot to death in his own bed by his wife, who proceeded to take her own life shortly after. After Hartman's tragic death, the part of Zapp Brannigan was given to Billy West, who voices Fry and many other Futurama characters. While his take on the voice is not a straight-up impression of Hartman, West has confirmed that he drew inspiration from the late actor, with whom he shared some common interests.
And I remember when we talked that we shared this love of big dumb announcers, from the old days. And we talked about how much we love those guys, and he was patterned. But I was thinking, I know what he would have done, and I just kind of did it in that way, like, yeah, let them in. I made it with a woman.
In an interview with CBR, he also revealed that he considers Zapp Brannigan to be a grown-up Doug Funny, the main character from Nickelodeon's Doug, which was also voiced by West. In tribute to Hartman, the creators gave Fry the first name of Philip, quietly naming him after the late comedy icon. I've mentioned this before, but I'm bringing it up again because a few of you have challenged me on it, which you're more than welcome to do if you think I've got something wrong. In this case, it is true that Matt Groening stated on at least one occasion that he named Fry after his father, Homer Philip Groening. Now, normally I would just take the show creator's word for it and leave it at that. But if we look at the storyboard for Space Pilot 3000, we can see that it includes a deleted scene that features Fry's birth certificate. And on this page is a handwritten note to double-check the spelling of Fry's name, saying it should match Phil Hartman's actual spelling. That's pretty compelling evidence that Fry really was named for Hartman, although it does seem unlikely that the show's creator would either misremember or lie about where he got the name for the central character. So yes, it is confusing. I don't know why there are these conflicting stories, and in some alternate universe where Matt Groening becomes a fan of scenometry and I get to interview him, this is probably one of the first things I'll ask about.
Captain's Journal, Stardate 3000.3.
Yet another Star Trek reference here with Zapp mentioning the stardate, although he's clearly just stating the year with some decimal added on the end. Now the .3 could mean a variety of things. Too much time has passed in the previous episodes for it to mean it's the third day of the year, but it could be the third month, being March, but then that doesn't give any indication of the day. So let's assume that the .3 means we are literally .3 of the way through the year. That puts us on the 109th day of the year, which, considering the year 3000 will not be a leap year, is April 19th. Now, at the very end of the episode, we hear this exchange.
Stardate,
April 13th.
April 13th, .2.
Which tells us two things. One, Zapp will randomly add decimals onto dates, probably to try and sound cool. And two, whether it's by coincidence or rough estimation, somehow his decimal on 3000.3 landed pretty close to the actual date. Now, since the end of the episode happens presumably the next day, after Zapp and LEELA spend the night together, I'm going to assume we're on April 12th, which is the 102nd day of the year, so the real decimal after the star date should be 102 into 365, 0.279452. Oh, weird. The 8 digits after the initial 2 appear to repeat indefinitely. Actually, this appears to happen with any number that I divide into 365. There's some initial non-repeating digits and then 8 digits that repeat over and over again. Anyway, it's actually more like day 101 point something since the 102nd day is currently in progress. This would be the decimal at the end of the day when we hit midnight, but in any case, Zapp's date is accurate if you round the decimal, but that doesn't seem like good practice.
Stardate 3000.3.
Who are you talking to, sir?
You. Aren't you getting this?
To be fair, there's a stenography machine right there, and Kif clearly knows how to use it. This is definitely part of his job.
A well-calculated move, straight out of Sun Tzu's classic text, The Art of War. Or my own masterwork, Zapp Brannigan's Big Book of War.
To arms, to battle, to combat, to skirmish. Don't miss the fun, there's no time to be squirmish. Take up your fantabulous kill-em-a-jig. Aim it just under your enemy's wig. And when he's a corpse, dance on him with a jig.
You're an impressive piece of captain, beautiful and deadly.
Glove? No glove. Glove again.
I heard one time you single-handedly defeated a horde of rampaging somethings in the something-something system.
The killbots?
Clearly the only rampaging anythings he's defeated anywhere, considering he knows exactly what Fry's talking about.
You see, killbots have a preset kill limit.
Why? And also, how? I'm not saying it's unfeasible, but on a battlefield with bullets flying everywhere, I'd like to know how one bot knows they got the kill and not some other bot, and how you stop them from calling each other racist slurs for kill stealing.
Knowing their weakness, I sent wave after wave of my own men at them until they reached their limit and shut down.
A deleted scene from this episode reveals that after reaching their kill limit, the killbots become peaceful hippies.
Love is all around, Captain.
Then Bender proceeds to reset one, and while he's got the compartment open, we see that their kill limit is one shy of 1 million. I'm not saying that Zapp is the biggest war criminal in history, but I guess that all depends on how many killbots there were.
I'm willing to put wave after wave of men at your disposal. Right, men?
You suck!
Ladies and gentlemen, John DiMaggio, who legit produced this voice with no digital effects or post-processing.
We're hoping to save the animals of Vergon 6 from extinction.
Vergon 6! This light dinner is over.
What a drama queen. You couldn't just tell her it's against the rules and continue enjoying your... What are they eating?
I'm anticipating an all-out tactical dogfight, followed by a light dinner. Ravioli, ham, Sunday bar.
Is this seriously supposed to be ravioli?
What just happened?
He's throwing us in prison.
Why does Bender have food? And why does everyone have a wine glass except Leela, who's got a cup with a bendy straw?
Can I get this wrapped up?
Wrapped up his dinner in a tinfoil swan. Manly and a sense of humor.
Oh, jeez.
I've always liked the design of these angular walls. It gives the whole place a kind of we got sat on by a giant feel. Why not design your romantic hoverbed with an extension cord? There's no way this could end badly.
Erotic! 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 Erotic!
Is that supposed to be an echo? Because it sounds like he's just repeating himself and getting slightly quieter every time.
All you have to do is bend the hatch off this steam pipe.
Can you basically make Bender do anything as long as you phrase it in a way that involves bending? Like when the professor needs his sweaters folded, so he asks Bender to bend them. Let's try this out. You pretend you're Bender. Now be sure to bend those like and subscribe buttons, bend a comment down below, and bend this video to all your friends.
Oh God, I'm pathetic.
What it's like to be a YouTuber.
You want the rest of the champagne?
It's pronounced champagne.
Oh God, no!
What it's like to be a YouTuber reading the comments.
You want to try escaping again?
Nah, I'm comfy.
2 questions. Where are Fry's clothes? And where did they get the towels? Wait, 3. Where's the swan? Leela looks weird with the chin. Wait, where'd it go?
Sooner or later, you'll come crawling back to the zapper.
The only kind of crawling I'm doing to you is away from.
What it feels like to do a live debate. No one would have noticed if they hadn't made steam billowing out of the prison cell when the force field is turned off, which makes the fact that they did that much more awesome. I quite like how the series has paced itself so far in terms of how far out we get and how zany things get in each episode. Episode 1 introduced us to future life on Earth. Episode 2, we went to the moon. Episode 3 was constrained to Earth again. And here in the 4th episode is the first time we have a scene actually set on an alien planet with a different colored sky and weird creatures. It's a progression that feels really nice. Even in a show as wacky as this, it would feel a little jarring to go too crazy too fast. Imagine Picard being assimilated by the Borg, or that musical episode of Buffy, happening in the first handful of episodes of the first season of those shows. Those are great moments, but they only work because we already know the characters and the settings so well. Contrast that with The Naked Now, the 3rd episode of the first season of Star Trek TNG. It's actually the first episode after the pilot, which was a 2-parter, and it introduces an ailment that causes all the characters to act out of character, which just doesn't work when you don't know the characters yet.
There was a young lady from Venus whose body was shaped like a... Captain to security!
It always irritates me when shows do this because it feels like they're relying on gimmicks instead of good stories. Futurama does not fall into this trap. All the wacky stuff they do, the time travel, the alternate universes, the body switching, that all happens later. In fact, the episode My 3 Sons, where Fry accidentally drinks the emperor of a species of water-based lifeforms and becomes their leader, was originally going to be the 2nd or 3rd episode of the first season, and the creators decided that would be a little too far out, so they moved it to become the 7th episode. I'm sure the fact that they think so carefully about these things is one of the reasons why this is such a high-quality show that just won't stay dead. The episode is not over, but I have to end the video here because I've decided I need to break this one into 2 parts. It's become a monster. I feel like more than about 22 to 23 minutes is getting too long, and this one was pushing 35. 3 major characters introduced. We got Dark Matter. We've got all that stuff about Phil Hartman. Hope you enjoyed, and I will get the next part out as quickly as possible. And if you haven't already, enjoy those new Futurama episodes. See ya.